Hello, ComIT alumni. My name is Hank, and I graduated the ComIT Full Stack Java course in 2019. I'm working as a developer in point of sale solution company. Subject of my presentation today is Blazor. What is Blazor? Blazor is an open source web framework developed by Microsoft. And developer can use C#, which is one of the most advanced and productive language for the web development, with or without JavaScript. Therefore, user can develop with the powerful .NET Framework libraries and the Visual Studio IDE in web development. Today, I will create a simple to-do list using Blazor server-side, SQL Server, and Entity Framework. Okay, let's get started. We're gonna use the Blazor app here. Let's name it Blazor app to-do list ComIT. And there's two different way make a Blazor template, the Blazor server and Blazor assembly. I hope we can discuss about the Blazor WebAssembly later. It's a very interesting subject. But today I'm gonna proceed with the Blazor app server. Let's create the application. You can see this basic the template of the Blazor application. Once you start the server, you can see the single page application of the Blazor form, and you can let's start to click this button and you can see the count is increased. This count is not increased by the JavaScript code. As I told you before, we are using the C# code in this HTML DOM page. So we're gonna check this one. So let's close this one. Okay, I'm gonna start making the models for here, and I will make the model folder, and in the model folder we're gonna make the to-do the class. Here I'm gonna make it very simple, the to-do list. So I'm thinking there should be two ID of the to-do list and the content. And I'm thinking about there's some checkbox in the to-do list. So once user click the checkbox, it's gonna be moved from the working on to-do list to the completed to-do list. So let's make the bool type opt. The property name is checked. It should be good. And I'm gonna use the entity framework to model first database generate. So let's make the key over here, and of course the content that should be required. Okay, that should be good. And after that, I'm gonna make the DB connection strings. So before we do this one, we have to check the database server, but let's make a template first. Connection strings and default connection, and let's check our database name. Here's the SQL server here, and you can see the server name. Let's drag this and copy and type in the database information over here. Server name and initial catalogs to do list Blazor. It's the table name of the DB. And let's make access the authority to my application is true. It should be good. And then we're gonna set up the NuGet packages. I'm gonna use the entity framework, so and I'm gonna install the entity framework core to my application to the ATS version, and I'm gonna use the model first way. So let's set up the separate other application. It helps to generate the database table from the code. So um, let's start the entity framework design. And the Microsoft Entity Framework Core tools. Same like install the ATS version. Okay. And then we're gonna make the DB context over here, data folder. Let's name it application DB context inherited from DB context. And you can see that we're going to use the Microsoft Entity Framework core. And this makes configuration, SQL connection configuration in the startup class. We're gonna check it very soon, and make the generated constructors with the options. Okay, we have to put the database context name, application DB context. And then we have to put the DB set property over here. Public DB set. It's gonna be it helps to link the model to database object. So and let's bring this from our model class. Yeah, it's done. And then in the package manager, let's add the migration name initial to-do list migration. It's going to be build my application, and I'm able to create an object in here. It's because we didn't to inject our database the DB context to the start defenders injection. So we're gonna add our DB context in here. Service add DB context, and in our DB context name option, using the lambda option use. Before we do this one, we have to install the NuGet package for using SQL Server. It depends on what the database are you using. If you're gonna use the Postgres SQL, you can use the there's the SQL Server the entity framework for the Postgres SQL, but in this time we're gonna use the SQL Server. So let's install the entity framework SQL Server, and we're gonna use the latest stable. Now you can use the SQL Server like this, and configuration. And do you remember I put our DB connection string over the default connection. So get connection string from default connection like this. And let's try to add migration again. Yep, see, they generated the migrations in the migration folder. So once we update database, it's gonna be create the table in our SQL Server. Yeah, it's done. Let's check it generate our table in here. Yeah, you can see here's the here's the table we just generated. And then let's close this, the DBMS, create the services folder, and add ToDo service. And I'm gonna bring the DB context from my application DB context class. DB context, and let's generate the constructor. Okay, it's ready to use, and I'm gonna make the to get all, create, update, delete. I'm gonna make it a very simple application, so let's make only these three methods. So let's get started with the very easiest one, list of ToDo. Get ToDos, return I'm gonna use this, the DB context. I'm gonna use this one. So DB context to-dos. It brings the to-dos from here, as you can see. So and make it to list. Yeah, to-do list is done. And next one is create method public async. We're gonna bring it from the database, and so that's why I'm gonna use the async method to prevent any kind of errors while bringing the data from the DB. Make a parameter to do like this, and okay, DB context dot to do's dot add async, because I use the async over here. So and inject the to do here, and once we add our to do object, we have to save it from the to the database. Save async. True. It's pretty much done. It doesn't really necessary to change it to async, save async over here, so it should be okay. And make updates, public async task bool update to do, same like the create. We make a parameter with the to-do object, and let's think about the condition. Once the we only can update the to-do list only if it is existed. So make a variable exist db context to-dos. First of all, it's a link. I'm gonna use the link queue to syntax over here. So once you find the ID, it's the same with the parameter object's ID. It will get the same name, the same ID data from the database. If is exists is not null, then is checked gonna be is checked, and is exists is ID should be all the same all the time, only to a content, and it is checked that condition should be changed. db contact save changes like this. If it is not existed, just return false, or otherwise return true. Okay. Okay. It makes error because only assigned call is used new await a new object is used like this one. I missed something over here. Oh, my mistake. Okay. Yeah, it should be done. And after that, we have to make this service in the our startup dependency injection services and add scope and with our services and then we're gonna make our pages over here. Item is Blazor, Razor components, and name it to-do list. You can see that the basic template of the laser page, and this code part is similar function in the script tag in JavaScript. So once you put the code over here, it's gonna be to running in our HTML page. So let's add some tags over here. The page means once the user type in the directory to-dos, it will show these pages. Also using the Blazor model, or I'm going to use the models to do our to-do model over here. And no, we don't need a semicolon. And using the services. Yeah, it should be okay. And I'm gonna inherit it from component space of to-do service. Then I can use all the methods I just created, and let's make some bigger our heading. And once we render this page, I want to show our to-do list over here in our page. So make on initialized. It will be render the to-do list. And before we do this one, we have to make an object of the to-do list. To-do equals survey. We're gonna bring the database. Get ToDo's, and then if the service okay, let's I didn't put the add mark over here, that's why I couldn't bring the C# code. You should put the add. Why you wanted to use the C# code here. So when the service data is not null, it will be rendered all our data from the database. So let's integrate all the ToDo in ToDo's, and if the I'm gonna use this page only not unchecked the ToDo list, so ToDo is checked is not true. I'm gonna to okay tr tables to add ToDo the content, and then let's put the checkbox in here. Put checkbox. It's gonna be bind the value with the ToDo done is checked. So it's gonna be bind the value with the ToDo check in the object over here, ToDo's. So, and this one is a little bit interesting part. So it's similar with the JavaScript on click. Once user click this one, I remember we made this the update the method with the async. So async event arguments lambda, and bring it await check. Before we no, yeah. I need to make the method the change our to the check status. Let's think about what should be good for a name. Let's make a check ToDo. It's gonna be get the ToDo object in method. So let's make the ToDo method over here protected. Async task check ToDo. We will bring the ToDo object if the ToDo is checked. Should it be false, right? So it's the default value should be false. So bar update ToDo equal to make a new object of the ID should be same ID with the object's ID. Content should be same as well, but is checked once we just get the value from the ToDo object, it should be always the true. So we always the false because it's not checked. So we have to give the true value over here and result. I didn't bring the result because yeah, result should be basic. Result should be false because it should be it should be working only in the true status. So it should be the false at the first time. Result with the service update to do. I should change the name, but next time. So we just make the object over here, new object. I'll make it new object. Need to change the name over here. And what else we need to do? Yeah, we need the add section, right? So we have to make an add section over here. Input placeholder. Let's give the add task into the to list and the bind. I'm gonna once user put the values in the to this input text box, it should be contains the to do that content, but of course we don't have over here. You only have the to the object over here, so we have to make the properties in the bottom. Let's name it new to do property. So we're gonna use this new to do bind the value, and this one is the value we're gonna bind with. So and we have to put the method once. Let's do this one. Once the user put the values in the text box and press enter, it's gonna be added to the database. Yeah, that should be good. So the method name is add to do. And same as make a method check to do. I'm gonna make the name method async task add to do. We're gonna to bring the argument keyboard event arguments, because yeah, we agreed that once the user add the value in the text box and press the enter, it's gonna be added to the database. Right? So let's put the keyboard event argument as an argument. and make a condition that if the key is the same as enter, also if the in string in the text box is not or no is null or white space. It shouldn't be. You guys remember I made a class with the required, so it shouldn't be the null value in our application. So and should be new to do property we made in the bottom, and variable to do to make a new to do like this, and of course the default result should be false, and result is the service dot create to do give to do object. Okay, should be good. And once we add the value in the text box, I want to re-render our application because I don't want to I don't want a user to press the refresh button for checking that item is moved to the completed the page. So there's some error over here. It's not error, but no, it's just taking time to take my code in the Visual Studio. So let's try to run this application. And make a breakpoint over here. Oh yeah, before we do this one, you guys remember I put the to-do list. No, just to-do should be good. There's the share page here. You guys can see this navbar is here. So you can see this one is pointing the counter, so we're going to change it to pointing our to-do page. And then the other one is it's unnecessary stuff. But I'm gonna make the completed to-do page over here. So yeah, let's make and let's restart our server. You can see it's changed. We don't have the completed to the page over here, so once we click this one, you can see there's nothing in this address, but we just pointed our page to-do list. So it's stopped because we have no, actually it's not stopped. So as you can see, we have the text box over here. So yeah, once we change our it because it it detects any key logs in the user's type in. So and everything is the breakpoint detected that once user type in any kind of word, but once user press the key, enter key, it's gonna be execute this logics over here. So yeah, let's keep the and once we press the enter, yeah, it detected we just press the enter and let's keep following this one. So yeah, you can see that I just typed in the 123 over here, and yeah, there we didn't put any because it just generated this. So is checked property should be false. So it's get inside of the if condition, and the default the result is false, and there's the 123 value is gonna be inside of our new property, and once we to get inside of the created to do, and this to do value gonna be to save added to the object, and it's gonna be stored in the DB context. Yeah, it's working fine, and after add this DB, it's gonna be saved, and it returns true, and this page should be rendered. Yeah, it's gonna be rendered to-do list, which we just added to our value, and it's gonna be returned the to-do list. So yeah, you can see this one. Other thing is gonna be same one. Hello. Oh, I have some bugs over here. Did you guys just see that? It even I enter the values over here, it still remains now my to text box value over here. So maybe some people want to do this function, but I don't want to do this. I just want to clear the commit these values after I enter in. So how do we do this one? It's very easy. So once we check the execute our to add function here, new to do should be empty. Yeah, let's start again. Yeah, my name is, yeah, you can see it is empty. And yeah, next thing is we have to we just have to check that the add to do is working fine. So next thing should be we should check this update function is working well. So once we click this one, the the breaking point is working fine, and default if it is false, yes it is false, and then make a new to update it to the object, and of course this is checked value gonna be changed as a true, and let's get inside of the update to the method, and it's checked. It's working fine. If it is not null, of course it's not null, and it's checked the value gonna be changed with this to-do's value content as well. Save change. And yeah, you guys see that? It just disappeared. So let's release the breakpoint and check it again. Yeah, once ComIT, my name is Hank. Yeah, once we click this Hank button, it's gonna be disappeared. Yeah, right? Actually, yeah, it's still in our database, but as you know, I make a condition only is checked the first value shows up to my list. So yeah, I'm gonna make the only to check the to-do list shows over here. It's gonna be very simple. So let's copy this all the codes over here and let's make completed page, copy and paste it, and it should be completed, and only the is checked value gonna be shows up here, but we don't need this one because I don't want to add in the completed page. Do this, we're gonna use this one, we don't use the add functions. Check ToDo, we definitely use this one because once the user think, oh, I still need to do this one, so it should be recover the is checked value is false. Yeah, let's restart our application. And let's check this one. Yeah, you can see all the checked values over here. Once you release the check, it's gonna be shows up. There's a box here. Yeah, let's think about what's to happen here. Okay, make a breakpoint here. Oh, yeah, it should be true. Let's start again. And I'm pretty sure this was the reason why. Yeah, you can see these unchecked values over here. Yeah, it's working fine. Yep, that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you guys. I hope you guys get interested in learning the Blazor. Of course, the Blazor cannot substitute all the JavaScript, but there are many benefits to use the Blazor in the web development. Especially you're the C# programmer or the familiar with all other object-oriented programming languages such as the Java. You may very happy with using the C# for server side, either the client side, the full stack development. And one more thing I want to tell you guys. I'm the member of the Winnipeg Web Development Study Group. This study group is for the student who graduated the ComIT course, and also if you want to keep studying after your ComIT course, you can join our group and keep studying together. And we meet once a week, every Friday, and we do the solving algorithm problems and then do some to small project. And if you are looking for a job, well, you can bring the resumes to our group and share the informations, and we can help you to make your resume more better. And here is our to study group to the Slack channel URL, and here's my email if you are interested in to join our to ComIT to graduates study group. You are very welcome to join us. If you are not even graduated the ComIT, you're still very welcome to join our group. So please contact if you want to study more after the graduate ComIT course. Thank you.